What is occupational fraud and why is it such a risk to businesses? And what are the red flags for noticing this kind of fraud?
So, occupational fraud is when an individual, could be an employee, could be a board member, could be your accountant, when an individual who has a reason to have access to your company's assets takes advantage of that access to enrich themselves. So, a form of occupational fraud is embezzlement. And quite frankly, for small businesses, that is a huge risk. And there are a couple of reasons that that's a huge risk. First and foremost, most people go into business not because they know anything about accounting or that they care anything about accounting. They go into business because they have something that they do well or something that they know they can do to earn money. But the lack of a financial understanding, a lack of understanding how money flows into and out of a business, leaves them wide open to not recognizing when money is flowing out in a way it shouldn't be flowing out or not coming in the way that it should be coming in. So, occupational fraud is one form of that. That could be embezzlement, that could be equipment theft. I actually had one particular situation where a gentleman came to me who was running a very rapidly growing marketing business. And he had someone working for him who had started her own marketing business within his marketing business and was utilizing his resources, his capital, his cash in order to run her business. And so it was siphoning off resources from his business. And he ran into a cash flow issue and couldn't understand what was happening until he took a look back and saw what was going on. So there are many ways that people who have a reason to have access to your assets can abuse them. And that's what occupational fraud is.
Makes sense. Obviously makes a lot of sense. And occupational fraud is something that hits a lot of businesses. You had mentioned as well that one of the reasons why this happens is a lack of segregation of duties. Um,
Yes.
Easier said than done, but talk to me a little bit about what you mean by segregation of duties.
So segregation of duties is simply that you don't want one person controlling all the financial aspects of your business. So if you have a bookkeeper, you don't want the bookkeeper billing your customers and collecting the billing and opening the mail and balancing the checkbook
Right.
and working QuickBooks. Like you don't want one person doing all of those things because with one person controlling the entire process, it's very easy for them to siphon money out of that process.
Right.
And so, one good example, I mentioned this in the book, is the town of Dixon, Illinois, which people don't think of municipalities as small businesses, but most towns in America are small businesses.
Sure.
And so, in Dixon, Illinois, which is Ronald Reagan's hometown, the comptroller stole $53 million over 20 years and nobody noticed. Now, this is a town that had a budget of between $5 and $7 million. So it's, again, it's the size of a small company. So imagine what had to be going on for her to accumulate $53 million that she was stealing. Well, so 20 years, nobody noticed because she controlled the entire financial operation from start to finish. She did everything from open the mail to bill the customers to collecting the tax revenue to distributing the money to the projects. And so she was able to pull out as much money as she wanted to. In fact, by the end, she was stealing almost the entire town budget. Now, because it was a municipality, they were able to, borrow in order to cover the losses, but they had no idea why they were losing so much money. So segregation of duties in that context and in any context is simply saying more than one person needs to be involved. If you're a small company, that's very hard to figure out how to do. And in the book, I give some examples of if you've got one employee, if you've got two employees, if you've got three employees, what segregation of duty looks like. It is one of the most critical things that you have to do in your own business.